Teenage years, yeah. I remember in my high school, there was a wonderful board that was up that said, "Enjoy your adolescence. It's the last time you'll know everything." You know, it's a very interesting time, the teenage years, because there is an ego, there is an arrogance, but there's also simultaneously great anxiety. And in many cases, in many ways, that ego and that arrogance is really kind of masking an inner insecurity. It's the time of our lives that we are figuring out, who am I? Most schools have kind of different groups, different cliques. Athletes over here and the very studious ones over here, the party people over here, the more straight non-partiers over here. All different groups. And of course, you know, I was in high school 35 years ago. I'm sure they've come up with all sorts of new groups today. But it's the time that we figure out, oh, am I like this or am I like that? Which group do I eat lunch with? Which group do I hang out with on the weekends? Am I a till 2 in the morning using drugs, getting drunk in the clubs type? Or am I like a stay at home in, you know, PJs eating popcorn, watching movie type? Or am I a reading or writing or creating art or creating music type? Who am I? So at that time that we're trying to figure that out, and there's so much pressure, and of course these days social media has made it so much worse, because it's not just a matter of understanding your identity. Teens these days actually have to have two identities. One is who they really are. They have to figure that out. What do I really like? What are my real values and ethics and priorities and goals and dreams? And what's the identity I'm going to curate for social media? Which in most cases is very different from the real identity. So I actually am just, my heart is so full of compassion for young people these days, because it's hard enough being a young person, being a preteen, being a teenager, and just figuring out one identity. But then having to have another identity that you have to curate and present to the world and figure out who's going to like what. Do they like my selfie better if I'm facing this way or if I'm facing that way, if my hair is like this or my hair is like that? Chin down, chin up. Funny apps that make, you know, my cheeks fatter or skinnier, my lips fatter or skinnier. Having to navigate that at the same time that you're having to navigate who am I? I can't even imagine the difficulty. So my heart actually goes out so much to the youth of today. And to their parents, remember, they're not nearly as sure of themselves as they're telling you they are. They are much, much, much more confused. They're much more insecure. They are struggling a lot more within themselves. Have compassion for them. And yeah, they're going to be arrogant and obnoxious and rebellious at times. Absolutely. Absolutely. But remember also, their bodies are full of hormones. We all know the impact of drugs and alcohol on our minds. You know what happens if you drink too much alcohol. You say stupid things, you do stupid things, you wake up the next morning and you really, really, really regret it. take drugs, say stupid things, do stupid things, really regret it. All that's happened is that the brain has become flooded with chemicals. Even if they're not drinking alcohol or using drugs, their brains are flooded with chemicals. We call those hormones. They're flooded with them. It's constantly causing them to feel in different ways, think in different ways, act in different ways. And it's the time when these waves of hormones are just rushing through their bodies. So have compassion, have love, recognize they are not doing this to make your life miserable. I promise. None of them are waking up in the morning thinking, how can I make mom and dad's life miserable? They're really just trying to navigate their own way through the world. But you also have to set borders and boundaries and discipline. That's essential for them. There must be borders. There must be discipline. There must be lines that they know they can cross and cannot cross. There must be limits. Limits on social media, limits on their device, limits on the computer. There must be rules. Times of the day they're allowed to use it, times they're not. And yeah, they'll fight you. They'll scream, they'll yell, they'll tell you they hate you. They'll say you're the worst mom and dad ever. Welcome to parenting. And by the way, that has gone on long before there were smartphones or social media. Teenagers telling their parents they hate them is kind of part of the package. Since teenagers have wanted to do things that their parents have said no to, you've got conflict. But the answer to the conflict is not to give in, because then it's just going to continue. The answer to the conflict is to stay firm, stay grounded, and stay anchored, such that if they say, I hate you, you don't say, oh, okay, no problem, take the car, do whatever you want, come home whenever you want, no problem, forget it. You stay strong. And you know that it isn't true. You know that what they're saying isn't about you, but it's about them. But that requires you as parents to be grounded and anchored spiritually, so that you don't start to doubt yourself and suffer based on what your teenagers are saying and doing. So that beautiful, beautiful but very challenging, precarious sometimes mix of compassion, love, tenderness, and discipline is the very best way to get through these years in a way where they get the guidance, the sanskaras that they need, the love that they need, but also the borders and boundaries they need. And you stay safe, sane, peaceful, grounded, anchored, and able to access your truth of joy. And remember, lastly, they came into this world as a seed. You water it, you shine the sun on it, you give it nourishment, nurturance. But ultimately it came into this world as a seed. And if it's an orange seed, the best you're going to get is a beautiful orange tree with juicy, beautiful oranges. But no amount of yelling at it, or praying to it, or begging it, or teaching it, or guiding it is going to turn it into an apple tree. Because it is an orange seed. And you have to also remember that they've come into this world with a karmic package. And that karmic package is going to bear itself out. Your goal, your dharma, your duty as their parents is to give that nourishing, nurturing soil, to give the sun, to give the water. and to have faith that whatever that seed is, because sometimes we don't know. Is it an orange? Is it an apple? Is it a peach tree? You don't know. You just know you've got this seed. But to just have faith that it's going to blossom and it's going to sprout into exactly what it's going to be, and your job is just to nourish it and nurture it. Give it that sunshine, give it that water. Give it the love, give it the tenderness, give it the sanskaras. But ultimately, it's come in with its own karmic package as well. So don't take 100% of the responsibility on your head either. Because some of it's just a karmic package they've come in with.